Okay, so we did Iowa Energy by Zoe, Zachary, Rachel, and Paige. What energy sources does Iowa use? Some non-renewable fossil fuels are coal, petroleum, natural gas, and some renewable resources that they use is hydroelectricity, biomass, wind energy, and solar energy. Why these? So for hydroelectricity, it powers homes, generates clean energy, manage flood risk, enable irrigation for agriculture, and more. So when the water is released, its force turns a turbine, then the turbine turns a generator where electricity is produced. For biomass, combustion is used to generate electricity and heat, fermentation to produce alcohol such as ethanol and more. So the atmospheric carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight are absorbed and converted into new plant material through photosynthesis. The trees are then harvested to produce logs, chips, and pellets, and then burning these releases stored energy to produce heat. The carbon dioxide absorbed is released back into the atmosphere. For wind and solar energy, they generate electricity. So the wind turns the blades on the wind turbine, and then the turbine turns generators, making electricity. The transformers at substations increases voltage of electricity, and then electricity joins grids and is distributed. And then solar panels convert sunlight to DC current. Inverter converts DC electricity to AC. And then it takes the electricity to your home, and then any extra electricity is credited to the grid. Some non-renewable fossil fuels. For coal, it provides heat and can be converted into energy. Petroleum is used heavily for agricultural use and heating homes. Natural gas supplies about 1/5 of the state's energy demand, and it's used to generate electricity and make fertilizer products such as anhydrous ammonia. So some environmental impacts of hydroelectricity. Some bad ones would be the physical impacts of a dam and reservoir. The operation of the dam and the use of the water can change the environment over a much larger area than the area a reservoir covers. Manufacturing the concrete and steel in hydropower dams requires equipment that may produce emissions. Upstream flooding that destroys wildlife habitats, scenic areas, and prime farming land. Some good impacts would be it's fueled by water, making it a clean energy source. The power is flexible, meaning going from zero power to maximum output, which the plants can generate power to the grid immediately. And it also employs 66,500 people, and that boosts the economy. Some environmental impacts of biomass. It causes climate change, deforestation, loss of soil nutrients, effect on human health, and air pollution. The good impacts would be we no longer have to depend on foreign oil, and this energy helps divert waste from landfills, and these biomass resources are widely available. The environmental impacts of wind energy. The wind itself is unlimited and free, and it's one of the cleanest energy sources, reduces our dependence on fossil fuels and economic value. The bad impacts would be the land use. Wind turbines are usually placed on flat areas and take up more land than those that are located on hilly areas. The wildlife and habitat, they have found evidence of more birds and bat deaths for collisions with the wind turbines and change in air pressure. Public health and community, sound and visual impact daily life. People living close to these areas have complained about the vibrations and sounds that come from the wind turbines. So in this picture, you can see that right at the top of the wind turbine, the sound is about 105 lawnmowers, and it keeps going down from there. And it said that usually in residential areas are placed no closer than 300 meters from the nearest house. So I looked up how long is a football field, and it said 91 meters long. So that's about 3 football fields long. Some environmental impacts of solar energy. The bad impacts would be the land clearance, largely known of when huge solar farms are built, causing soil erosion, which reduces the level of nutrients in the soil. The toxic materials, including lead, are examples of such materials found in manufacturing processes. When disposing of solar cell, this should be done correctly in order to avoid toxic materials leaching out into the ground. Some good impacts would be it saves water, which is essential for life on Earth. It can be used for heating, lighting, and electricity, and it does not emit CO2 or other greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Some environmental impacts of non-renewable fossil fuels. Coal causes air pollution from the burning of coal, and that can contribute to smog and acid rain. Water pollution. The coal mining can contaminate water sources with heavy metals, which reduces the drinking water quality. The impacts of petroleum, oil spills, these can harm the marine and ecosystems, and it can also impact wildlife habitats. Combustion of petroleum products release air pollutants, contributing to air quality, degrading, and climate change. And then habitat destruction. Infrastructure can disrupt habitats, ecosystems, and affect biodiversity. Some environmental impacts of natural gas. Methane emissions, so the natural gas extraction and transportation can release methane. And then from the hydraulic fracking, is used to extract natural gas from formations and uses a ton of water. This can contaminate groundwater with chemicals used in the process. And this picture is of a natural gas pipeline. Some social concerns of each. Coal causes health impacts. Air pollution can lead to respiratory issues, economic concerns. Losing coal mining can lead to job losses and unemployment. Petroleum, environmental disruption to ecosystems because of oil exploration. And then natural gas extraction requires land disturbance and infrastructure development and can lead to impacting habitats and communities. The social concerns of renewable resources, hydroelectricity. The construction of dams for hydroelectric projects can require displacing communities, disrupting lifestyles, and affecting local biodiversity. Biomass, this production can compete with food production, causing concerns about food security and land use conflicts. Wind energy is a risk to birds and flying creatures through collisions with the turbine blades, affecting wildlife. And solar energy sometimes requires a significant amount of land area, leading to habitat loss and changes to the ecosystem. Our second question was, what energy sources are available? And that was Rachel's part, and she did not complete that. And this is Zach's part.
Would you want me to just start reading off, or?
Yeah, and I'll go edit it.
Yeah. I made some changes on it, so if you exit presentation and then go back to it, it should be able. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, any changes. Okay. For question number 3, I had what energy sources are underutilized or not at all. And for example, and the 4 that I chose were tidal and wave energy, geothermal energy, hydropower energy, and nuclear energy. And these are the 4 photos describing the ones that don't really get used that much. For example, tidal and wave energy, it is mainly ocean-based. Same with hydropower is mainly water-based. So, for example, the Hoover Dam has a large river base around it, and nuclear energy isn't really used, isn't common at all around this area. But geothermal we do use, but it is very uncommon, if at all. For environmental impacts for tidal and wave, a large concern is noise and vibration. For tidal turbines and underwater operations can generate noise, vibrations, potential disturbing marine animals, fish and sensitive species, affecting their communication, navigation, and feeding behaviors. Another impact is coastal development. The construction and operation of tidal facilities can lead to coastal development and habitat infringement or fragmentations and alterations of coastal landscapes, raising concerns about habitat loss, land use conflicts, and coastal zone management. And last one I was able to find was navigation and marine safety, which it also describes it in the photo of the wave energy installations may pose navigational hazards, collision risk, and interference with marine activities, requiring consideration of safety, shipping routes, and marine spatial planning. Some environmental impacts for geothermal energy, gas emissions for the geothermal system can release gases such as hydrogen sulfate, carbon dioxide, and methane, which are greenhouse gases contributing to climate change and air quality concerns if not captured or controlled. Another one is for subsurface impacts, such as geothermal drilling and injection activities can cause subsurface disturbances and ground stability issues, potentially affecting geological formations, fault lines, and underground resources. And last one is landscaping and visual impact which is geothermal power plants and associated and fractures may alter landscape sceneries, visual aesthetics, impacting scenic views, tourism, and cultural heritage sites. Another one is, or my third one is for environmental impacts is hydropower. And one of those is water quality changes is with the reservoirs created by hydropower projects can afflict water qualities with potential impacts on water temperature, oxygen levels, nutrient cycling, and sedimentation, influencing aquatic life and downstream ecosystems. And another one is for the loss of riparian habitats, reservoirs, inundation, and changes in river flows can lead to the loss of riparian habitats, which are some very rare and wetlands and floodplains affecting wildlife, birds, and plant species depending on these habitats. And a large concern for many close residents are methane emissions, which has affected many people for decomposition of organic matter in reservoirs to produce methane and potent greenhouse gas, contributing to global warming and climate change impacts associated with hydropower. And the last one for environmental impacts is nuclear energy. And one of the examples I use is water use and thermal pollution. For nuclear power plants require large amounts of water for cooling, leading of thermal pollution of water bodies and potent impacts on aquatic ecosystems and water quality. Another big concern is uranium mining and processing for the nuclear energy. The extraction and processing of uranium fuel for nuclear reactors can have large environmental impacts such as habitat disruptions, water contamination, and waste generation. And a big impact is for accidents and spills. Nuclear accidents such as meltdowns or leaks can release radioactive material into the environment, causing immediate environmental damage and long-term health risks for humans and ecosystems. Social concern of each, starting with the tidal and wave energy, is coastal and shoreline dynamics, altering the tidal flows of sediment transport due to tidal energy projects can influence coastal erosion, sedimentation, and shoreline stability, affecting coastal communication and fractures and habitats. Fishing and marine and maritime activities. Wave energy devices and cables can and fracture with fishing operations, maritime navigation, and recreational activities, leading to conflicts with local stakeholders and marine users. Another big issue is with, or big concern is with coastal and beach dynamics. Wave energy extraction may influence wave patterns, settlement, transport, and coastal erosion, with potential impacts for coastal erosion management, beach tourism, and shoreline protection. Third one is, or second one actually, is geothermal energy, which is the big social concern is the health and safety of the projects. It is involved handling high pressure fluids and drilling operations, which leads to a high risk of the workers that work nearby it and people that are residents nearby, but it's very uncommon for people to live nearby geothermal energy plants. Another problem is noise and visual impact. Geothermal power plants or drilling sites mainly can produce noise and alter visual landscape potential, affecting local residents' quality of life and property values. Water use and management. Geothermal energy production requires water for heat extraction and power plant generations, which causes big problems with their availability and potential conflicts with other watering users or ecosystems. Another issue, or an issue for the concerns of hydropower, is resettlement and compensation. Resettlement of communities of the buildings of hydropower may mean loss of compensation, of social cohesion, and difficulties of assimilating onto a new setting, which is a big change of water, which is a lot for rural town people that live in rural settings. Another one is for equality and access. There's a big concern about the equality of accessing the benefits of hydropower products. The decision-making process is usually dominated by larger stakeholders, and the poor barely ever have any participation or benefit little compared to large shareholders. Tourism and recreation. Hydropower projects may have impacts on tourism and recreation patterns in areas that are affected by a dam and changing the local economics and traditionally and lifestyles. For nuclear, and finally for nuclear energy, is waste management, is the long-term storage and disposal of radioactive waste generated by nuclear power plants pose challenges in terms of safety, environmental impacts, and public acceptance, leading to concerns of management and security of nuclear waste. Another one is for public health and radiation exposure. There are concerns about potential health effects of radiation exposure on workers at nuclear facilities, nearby residents, and future generations, prompting discussion about radiation monitoring, health studies, and emergency preparedness. And finally, for the nuclear energy, is the social security and proliferation. Nuclear energy raises social concerns related to potential issues of nuclear materials for weapons, pro-life, and the terrorist activities, highlighting the importance of nuclear treaties and safeguards and security measures. And that's Natalie for my question number 3. Natalie.
For question number 4, it was, how could Iowa better utilize the resources we have available? And that was Paige's part. And then our conclusion was supposed to be done by Paige and Rachel. And then we put some sources at the end of our presentation. Okay, let me stop.